Daddy's getting ready to make the coffee.
We had quite the adventure trying to get us a site, and it's still not over.
Yeah, we're just here very temporarily. Probably in the next few hours we're going to be moving. But the cool thing is we are going to be moving to Site 16, which happens to be the very first site we brought the fifth wheel to. The first site, I'm trying to think, the first site that the pop-up was on is, and the first time it was ever out with us, is over in the areas in the 30s and 40s where it's just electric. And then we were on 5, we were on 3. I'm trying to think where else we had it. It was at Canaan a couple of times. Anyway, the fifth wheel, the very first time we brought it out, was with the whole Calvary campers. The whole gang came, and Milton, Lois.
It's going to be hot.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You can hand it to me when we get done there. Yeah.
Milton and Lois. Let's move this, Daddy. We want to get Daddy in there. Okay. So it was the Calvary campers. They were all excited, for us having a fifth wheel, not just a little box with beds that our pop-up was. Anyway, so we all came up in October. I'm wanting to say it was like October 15th of that year, and I'm thinking the year was 07, because 07 was when we traded the Riffies. It's when we traded the Riffies, our fifth wheel, or our little pop-up, Daddy. October 15th, 2007 was the first time we brought our pop-up, or our fifth wheel up here.
Trust me, she knows the dates.
And it was, we met this couple who had always had pop-ups, and they came across this opportunity to have the fifth wheel, and they thought, oh, nice, more amenities, whatever. But unfortunately, what they do is they do rough camping or primitive camping, like along rivers and that type of thing, to do fishing and whatnot. So they very quickly found out that the fifth wheel just wasn't conducive to that. So they now wanted a pop-up. And our pop-up was a 2005. Their fifth wheel was a 1985 Holiday Rambler Alumilite 24-foot.
And there's videos on the channel of us camping in it.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's even the last time we were on 16 that we're getting ready to go to. There's videos of us being there.
That was our very first time out with it. We did all this trading in the summertime, late spring, summer. No, it was in the summer, because after we made the deal, we went out one more time with our pop-up, because we already had this trip planned. So they said, yeah, go ahead.
That's what was funny, is we'd already made the deal and we'd already pretty much done everything, but then they said, yeah, you can go ahead and take it out one more time. They were that confident that it was going to be in good shape, because it was in top shape.
It was in brand new shape. I'm kind of picky about my stuff.
Can we say OCD?
Yeah, we can. Anyway, so I cleaned it up from stem to stern. I mean, I went through it with a fine tooth Clorox wipe. Anyway, October 15th, once again, 2007 was our first time out, and the whole entire gang came, the Calvary campers. So there was Milton and Lois, Trish and Dave, Fuzzy and Mary Lou, and I'm wanting to say Josh and Jennifer were here as well. And they only had Chase at the time. And anyway, we were on 16. Um, and everybody loved it because it's got a perfect area around the fire ring. So everybody, kind of merged on us. But that was our first time out with it, was 16. And we were here a couple more times, but the very last time we were here with the fifth wheel was, last time we ever had it out was on 16. So with all the mess yesterday, turns out we're on site 4. We've had it for a year and a half, reserved for a year and a half. We kept getting confirmation letters all last week. Site 4. Turns out it is well known this site has no adequate power for a 30 or 40 or 30 or 50 amp rig.
All they had was 20 amp, and that's how we actually come out and plugged in our pot and made our coffee.
We had lights last night, and we had window air conditioning.
and we had wonderful. Of course, it was cool. It was plenty cool, but we had wonderful neighbors here on site number 3. They had power, and they loaned us we had a thing from a 50 to a 30 amp, but we didn't have a 20 amp to a 30 amp. So, where we could at least have the basic things to run the cooler and and run a fan or whatever. But they actually loaned us just really sweet people from Virginia. They loaned us a 20 amp that would plug into the 30 amp. And so they gave us enough stuff, and they just left a few minutes ago, so we gave it to them. So we're
and that's the next piece of equipment in our arsenal.
Right. The site we're going to go to is right behind my head, right there.
Yep. So, right here where you see the apex.
Yeah. So whenever
it is not an ADA site, and we really try. They're chipping under our truck. We really.
It's like, look, a squirrel.
Don't take much. Sorry. Anyway, we really try to get ADA sites as often as we can, because most often they're very, very level.
That's the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yes, American, yeah. And they have pavement pretty much covering the area that you would be around. And so that's like no rocks and things like that. But unfortunately, that's not to be until the 30th. On the 30th, we move to the 81, which is the area that used to be just electric, but in the last year and a half, they have upgraded with water. So it's now water and electric, which is fine. They have a in-house dump station here on the campground, which is within walking distance, probably not even 100 yards from, probably not even that.
No, so probably 100 feet.
Probably 100 feet from where our campsite is, number 81. It is ADA.
And we have one of those rolly tanks.
Yeah. But for right now, we'll be on.
Got him a nut.
My
Look,
gosh.
Got him a nut.
He got him a nut. For right now, we'll be on, by this evening, we'll be on site 16. But that kind of seems to be our site. This will make the 3rd time. Once with the pop-up, and once with the fifth wheel, and now with our Rockwood, our Birdie May.
It's one of our favorite sites.
It really is.
To be on. But what's interesting is, we have this new camper, the longest thing I've ever pulled, 30 feet. So it's kind of like...
It's a travel trailer.
Yeah, it's a travel trailer instead of that fifth wheel, or instead of that little pop-up. So what's funny is, I was... you think about it, and you're maybe nervous about parking it or whatever like this. But if everything goes as the plan is now, in 3 trips, this is our 3rd trip, in 3 trips, I will have parked this thing on 6 different sites, in addition to parking it after we get home. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm getting the total workout.
I think we're going to get this puppy down.
Hopefully, whenever we go out next year, I'll know a bit more about what I'm doing.
And only and only 2 of them have been pull-throughs. This one and
which we
one,
don't get to keep.
the very first one at KOA at Ashland Huntington area.
It was the ultimate pull through. It was almost like going down a street and just stopping. It wasn't even curved. It was just straight into it.
And it was their ADA. Well, what they do, what KOA does, they have deluxe patio sites. And those deluxe patio sites also serve as their ADA if someone comes in and requests an ADA site.
But
The issue is they rent them, or the fee for them is comparable to a deluxe
so it's
patio.
$20 more than the standard sites.
Yes.
I mean, the one right beside of it would be $50, and the deluxe site is $70. So and there's a little patio there, and maybe a gas grill, and and some nice little chair setting area and stuff, Adirondack chairs and stuff. So it's
made out of the Trek.
It's nice, but you can make money off this ADA thing if you play it right.
Yeah, you can. For the most part in the West Virginia state parks, we had, when we were at Coakley a few weeks ago, both of our sites were ADAs, but Coakley only offers water and electric, no sewer, so no full hookup. So it was a fee comparable to a water electric. When we go over to 81, the fee we paid for it was a water electric fee. All of the area over here in the very first area up into the 30, all the first 30 sites here, basically, the first 4 are ADAs. They're all full hookup. This whole area over here is full hookup.
We're going to name that chipmunk.
We are. However, the fee for these 4 ADA sites, as well as the other 30, the rest of the 30, is the same fee. There is no special fee. They don't call them special patio sites. So that's the only negative about maybe going to other types of campgrounds.
Commercial campgrounds. Yeah.
And bear in mind, we love...
Ooh, it's a long one.
That is a long one. We love KOA. KOA is everywhere. We are a part of... we have a membership. So we automatically get 10% off. And we get other perks. We get, points added up and that kind of thing. So eventually we'll get like free. And the cool thing about KOAs, they're everywhere. So like we want to go up into like around Harper's Ferry up to Gettysburg, all of that area up there. There are several KOAs that we can choose from. That we could explore that entire area, and we have chosen now. We don't need the deluxe patio. We'll just
The point is if you pay more per site per night, then you can go less camping. Mm-hmm. Go camping less, I guess.
So we would choose. We would try to get full hookup always, because that's just more convenient and easier. So he doesn't have to tug the little potty toad around. But we will not, more often than not, we will not choose the deluxe patio sites. We will choose like a regular full hookup.
The others are just as level, but they're more apt to be gravel than paved, and
which is fine. We've got a rug that could help that and whatnot, and we would probably just be there in the evenings, because we will be out exploring stuff. That would be the main reason why we would utilize those. Mm-hmm. What we're going to try to do is go to as many West Virginia park campgrounds, and
so
we love
the park atmosphere.
We love the park atmosphere, and our state is absolutely gorgeous. And we know now
that'd be like gorgeous.
We can do the water electric now that we've got the rolly tote. We can do the water electric, and all of them, every one of them have a dumping station, and it most often they are as you are entering or going out. But the way the Pipestem Campground is so deep into the park, that guy is so deep into the park that they just have it here on park or campground grounds. So, but that's okay too. They have upgraded this place like crazy.
Yeah, they just renovated the dump station site. Now you can pull your camper enough to the side
Mm-hmm.
while you're doing it that you're not blocking the road while you're trying to dump your thing.
It used to be
Kind of
that you
blocking the road.
parked, or when you were working with your with the dump station, you blocked the entire water or electric only area. No one could get in there in the entrance. That's not the case now. So,
Yep.
but
anyway,
we are thrilled to be back at Pipestem.
Mm-hmm.
This is our key place. This is where we want to be.
we've been here. I mean, over a 20-year period, we were here about 3 times a year, probably mostly.
Yes.
If you really average it out. And so we've been on both lodges. We've been in the cabin. We've been, you know, we've camped more than any of the other things.
We've brought everybody that we know and love here.
Yeah.
And
The
we
ones that
have
campers anyway.
we are constantly recommending this place, whether it be someone who just wants a quick weekend away, and we tell them about the lodge. We there are 2 lodges available during the spring, late spring and summer months. Down at you can only access it via the tram, so that's why they only have it available in the warm months. But it's just as nice as McKeever Lodge. There is a wonderful restaurant. I mean, a high-end restaurant. Both the lodges have really nice high-end restaurants. They're on site. They have the rooms are nice. They have upgraded the park.
Can you hear the crows?
Yes.
That's one of the components of Pipestem. The Pipestem chicken are these huge crows, and they're always hooting around all the time.
You are lulled all day long to crow song. It's wonderful.
Crow song. Just never thought of a crow as singing.
Well, I think they
Crow
do.
song. Just a beautiful morning at Pipestem with crow song. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
But they have upgraded the entire park. There is now zip lining. There are there is it the main lake? They have those inflatable jumpy things. Is it the main? It
I
has
think so.
to be the
Yeah,
main
yeah,
lake.
it has
It's
something
the
that has
only
to be
lake
that
there.
lake. And they have a PGA grade golf course. They've actually had events.
Well,
here
they've
before.
had that forever,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah, oh, I know, but still, a lot of people don't know there's one in West Virginia, hardly, except at the Greenbrier, man.
Speaking of which, one of the Calvary camper trips, a summer trip, all the guys decided, hey, we're going to go play golf.
And I'd never golfed before.
He had never golfed before, and you weren't the only one. There were a few that really weren't.
Everyone else but me had
Actually golfed.
Yeah, I mean, but it's it's not like it was anybody's life work except for maybe
Yeah.
1 or 2. But anyway, so you do what you can. Somebody gave me some old clubs.
Yes.
I had no idea if I had the right ones or not. I knew I had a putter, and I knew I had, you had
He had
wood, you
something
have an
to hit a
iron,
ball
and that's good.
with.
And so I read a book about it before I came, and looked at some golfing magazines that I borrowed from my friend. And so, I had never done it before in my life, but I was ready.
So, and we ladies just enjoyed a nice calm day, and I think we went horseback riding, and then come back to the camper and just enjoyed ourselves. And then he's going to get rid of stuff.
Stopped and got out.
And then then the boys came back, and we had our evening around the campfire.
Hey.
Hey! I bet they're bringing a tent here. Anyway, we were enjoyed all the stories these guys had of basically terrorizing the wildlife of
Yeah,
Pipestem, West
I hit a
Virginia
deer.
State
I hit
Park.
a deer. There were turkeys everywhere too.
They were. It was funny. It was funny.
I mean, they would be grazing. You know, the deer and the turkeys would be between you and the hole. And so when it come time to knock one up through there, you know, you're thinking, okay, there's 3 deer between you and the hole, and you're driving. Well, all of a sudden, there's no way you're going to hit one of those. I ended up dropping one on the ground before it got to the deer and rolling and hitting the deer's hoof. The deer just kind of pulled its hoof up and looked at it, and then just went, okay, let's go ahead and start grazing again. By the time we got up there, though, they were gone, so we could go ahead and take our second shot. But yeah, one of the things I found, I am accurate. I just didn't have the distance, and I don't even think I can do it at all now. I've got enough arthritis in my upper spine.
But we laughed the entire evening at their stories. It was funny. But this one almost did an impossible hole in one, and
18 inches.
18 inches from the hole. And Mr. Inexperienced, never golfed in his life. The rest of them were like, we will hang you if you make this. And he was 18 inches from the hole.
But I did what it said to do in the book, and I just applied that and visualized. Well, the hole has this big ravine in the middle of it, and everyone plans their second shot before they take their first shot. And so they would try to do it high and then would roll all the way down into that ravine. Well, it's basically the same level from the hole, you know, from where you're driving from the pin to the hole. So or whatever it is, I don't think it was the right terminology. But anyway, and so I just visualized a flat surface across that and shot for the hole instead of trying to go up on the hillside and then work my way back down to it. And it hit the green, dropped on the green, and rolled, bobbled around the hole and went 18 inches on the other side. And
they were all like,
it was like, you know, and it bobbles around the hole. And then they told me just to go ahead and putt it. And so Fuzzy's sitting there, and Fuzzy says,
Fuzzy Cougar.
I mean, I'm getting ready to putt this thing, you know. And again, I had just never done any of this stuff before, and I'm getting ready to do it. And right when I was getting ready to do it, he goes, if you miss that, I'm going to cut your shirt tail off. And I said, no pressure though, yeah. But I made it. I almost didn't put enough on it, but I made it. So that was a birdie? I think we're doing. Again, I don't know enough about golfing. I had people to tell me what was going on.
We have no idea what it was.
But anyway, golfing was not so much winning a game or doing anything like that. The point was golfing is hilariously fun. It is amazingly fun if it's the people you're with. And that's what made it so much fun. And the stories around the campfire can be pretty funny.
We had some of the most wonderful times with those folks, and we're going to do it again. We just haven't had the opportunity yet since we got back into camping. And but Trish and Dave has since upgraded their camper. They now have I'm not sure of the number, but they have a Jayco Pinnacle.
I think you can store one end of it in one state, and it extends into the next state.
Pretty much.
It's a big old camper now.
Yes, and I mean, fully loaded. It's beautiful, but you know, those folks are the most precious people, and they have camped all their life. They started out with the tents and the pop-ups and you know, the bunk travel trailers, you know, raising their 2 boys. Their boys were raised in campers, and so they've camped all their lives, and they were such a big help to us when we started in, especially when we went into the fifth wheel, because you know, there wasn't a whole lot of expertise needed buying the pop-up. I mean, it was a box with beds, it had wheels, and it rolled behind your vehicle. It's great.
Yeah, but Dave actually installed the fifth wheel hitch on our truck.
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
tools.
you two
and the,
together, but yeah.
Well, no, I handed him things. He knew what he was doing.
When we traded the pop-up and for the fifth wheel, we owned a 1997 Nissan Quest, which is a van, a mom and pop van, and we owned, I think it was an '03 or '04 Saturn little sedan. We did not own a truck. And so
And there were that minivan
we had to
was
go
not
get
gonna
us a
take
truck.
Well, we thought about installing a fifth wheel hitch on top of the minivan, but we
Didn't
kinda,
seem like it would work. But anyway, we so we were just out driving and thought we would stop and just look, and there was a perfect Nissan Titan. We were in the little sedan, the Saturn sedan, and there was a perfect Nissan Titan. And bear in mind, the fifth wheel was small, completely loaded down. It was like 6,000 pounds. It was little. And the Titan had a towing capacity of 92, so we felt we were covered.
yeah, it had what, a third again as much truck as we had camper.
Yes, but no fifth wheel hitch, and no fifth with the rails to put the hitch in, because the hitch, that's something we got with our fifth wheel. He threw in the hitch, or we purchased the hitch, because we traded the units outright, and then we may have purchased the hitch. I can't remember the deal, but anyway, so Jeff, and the Nissan was a couple years old. It was a used couple years old, but in excellent condition. So Trish took me one Saturday out and about to the Capital Market and stuff, and Jeff took the Nissan. I know, real. Jeff and took the Nissan over to Dave and Trish's, and while Trish had me out whining and dining and keeping my mind on other things, Jeff and Dave
We're drilling holes in her truck,
taking the bed off, drilling holes, adding things, taking things off. And when it was all over, Dave looked at me and he said, "You would not have been able to have been here, Dee. You could not have done this. You would have shot all of us and taken your truck away to protect it."
Yeah, it seems like a lot of modern trucks are already plumbed for a fifth wheel or
Yes.
that type of a hitch. So
Which is nice.
yeah, but like I say, no, we had to start from scratch and just drilling holes in the frame and getting everything bolted down.
Look at that little.
Those little tiny bicycles are cute.
There are two little tiny bicycles, and one
But
looks
they're a
like
little bit bigger by each kid. See?
They are.
You got the little tiny one, and you got the next size one up, and then you got the next one there, and then that girl's the oldest, and she's got a bigger one. It's like
the teeny
each 4
tiny guy
kids.
looks like he has a 10-inch wheel thing. No training wheels, and he is booking it. And she's carrying one. It'll probably have a bike next year.
Well, no, you just trade up each kid as you go.
Yeah, really. You get this one down here. Okay, we got to get this one.
But anyway, I guess that's kind of a bit of a camping history a little bit.
It really is. We, our only regrets, we did not start this sooner. We started camping. We got a tent, and so we were going to do the tent thing. And this tent could have held a football team.
It was
this
an
tent was
18-passenger tent.
It was massive. And for the three of us.
It had a main cabin tent that probably had similar amount of space to what we've got in the living room and kitchen on our camper here.
Yep.
But then there were 3 separate adjoining rooms coming off in 3 directions. That you could have a changing room, you could have you could make a kitchen, you could even have almost a sunken living room if you really decide you want to know. But
it really was crazy.
Yeah, it was huge.
But we thought, let's go get a tent, and we did.
We got a real tent.
I think it was on sale. If anything's on sale, Dee Dee's gonna go for it.
On sale's good.
And so we got this tent, and
Hey, Chicky.
Sherry and I used it once. We brought it up here and put it on the site across from us right now on Site 5 up into the grassy area. And then we tried, the 3 of us tried taking it once. We were coming up here to Pipestem, but it was full up. no place. So we had to go to Camp Creek, just down the interstate a ways, west of us, and we didn't get there until the evening because we had to take off when he woke up because he worked midnights. So we waited until he woke up and we took off and thought we were going to be here, put up the tent during the day and just enjoy our weekend. Well, that wasn't to be because no places were available, and so we went to Camp Creek. And a lot of times they're at West Virginia State Park, and Pipestem sends folks there for the overflow. And so we got there, put up the tent at night, and got settled, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, brrr, rain.
Big rain.
And we were beside the creek.
Because they didn't really have open spots as much as just
No.
open space.
They just pretty much put us under a
they just
pine
put us
tree.
beside the creek.
And it was right by the creek.
And we didn't know anything, but I've done some studies since, and we didn't know anything about how to actually set up the tent to keep from getting soaked into.
Yeah.
And we woke up with water on the floor. Yeah.
We had all the covers on.
And that just made us want to tent camp all
Yeah.
the more.
Needless to say, we never tent camped again. Come forward a couple of years, and it was 2002. And again, we were out driving around. When we take drives, it wasn't always, safe for us. But anyway, we're out driving around. We go into Setzer's World of Camping down in Barbersville, and are looking at, campers. What it was, one of the reasons that prompted us to do this was the Calvary campers, the staff at Calvary Baptist Academy. We were all going to go camping at Beach Fork, West Virginia State Park, and we were going to do our tent. Sherry was going to be with us, but then we kept thinking, if it rains, that's going to be so miserable, and we're not going to have air conditioning, and it was going to be like in May or something. Anyway, so we go for a drive, and we just happened by Setzer's World of Camping. So we're looking around, and we have the van, so we know we've got this limit as to what we'll pull. So they gave us a great deal on a brand new 2002 Coleman pop-up, the smallest one they have. The Taos.
8-footer.
8-footer.
So
like I said, a box with beds.
so you're basically small when you're towing it down the road, and you're big when you get there.
Exactly. And that's what we camped in for 5 years. And
We had great times.
Yes.
Every time I see somebody with a little pop-up, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Even one of the times.
Message on there.
Okay. Even one of the times we were camping, we came up in July. We had air conditioning, but we came up in July. Mom and Dad Holbrook were coming from Florida. Our family, big family, Dad's family, always got together for the 4th, and it was going to be in Raynell at his sister's house, which is not far from here. So Mom and Dad, they always came up 95, so they stop here and spend the night with us in the pop-up. Had a blast. We all.
Oh, that was the day of the great rummy
rain out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they were doing it. Also, this big storm hit while they were playing rummy out on a picnic table.
Exactly.
It happened right over there.
Right over there on Route 5.
Yeah.
On Site 5.
Yeah, so we can see it from here.
Yeah. Right now there is a huge Class A on there. We've never seen anything that big on there. But anyway, they came and spent the night with us, and honestly, I think all of us, including them, had wished it would have been more than one night.
We had a lot of fun. And there's a video on the channel about that as well.
Yes, we had a blast.
The great rummy day right now.
Yeah. Ace, it was in 2016, and Ace was, no, it wasn't. It was 2006. It was a year before we traded, and Ace was 16, and so we were in this little camper, and Ace always slept on the table. You know, you put down the table, and that made a bed. And then it was
small.
like 2 full beds, wasn't it, or 2 queens? It was. I mean, they were nice.
Yeah.
They were. And how we did it when it was just the three
I
of
think
us.
it was two fulls. That's
Two
what, because it was
fulls.
just little tiny things.
So how we did it when it was just the 3 of us, Jeff was on the one closest to the door, and then Ace was on the table
Fold-down
bed,
table.
and I was on another one. And he wanted to be able to get to the door and wanted us all on one side safe. But the way we did it the night Mom and Dad were with us, Dad and Mom took a bed, Jeff and I took a bed, and of course Ace was on her little bed, and you know, it worked perfectly. And anytime we took the pop up out, I had of which we still use. I have a George Foreman toaster oven.
Well, yeah.
Toaster oven.
You can do a rotisserie chicken and all kinds of stuff.
Rotisserie, yeah, the whole deal. But I've used it as an oven. We had our electric. We have. What was our cookware? Oh my gosh. Salamaster. We have Salamaster, and we had an electric grill or electric frying pan. That was always with us, and a George Foreman grill was always with us. So I had an entire, plus the oven or the stove that came in the pop-up. You could take it out of the pop-up and put it on a hook outside the pop-up, and and there was a board that went on top of that, so I had more counter space inside. I had underneath the awning an entire kitchen. I could do anything. I could cook anything. I could bake everything.
And my dad was just shocked about the kind of food that she was able to produce while we were out in the field. You know,
in the pop-up.
Supposed to be roughing it, but you're eating things like, you know, I mean, I remember once we were camping here, and some of our friends, it took almost to the end of the week, but I was putting each day what we were making, what we were eating.
This was in the fifth wheel, but still.
Yeah, it was in a fifth wheel. But when it came down to it, by the end of the week, we were having, you know, New York strip steaks with gorgonzola cheese on them. And then one of the guys goes, "Okay, that's enough. You're eating better at the campsite than I'm eating at home."
But the problem is, we typically do. There is a little store probably about 3 or 4 miles from us here, from the campsite, and they have fresh meat, fresh vegetables. So every few days we go down there, and we'll get boneless chicken breasts and steaks. The steaks are ridiculous. They are beautiful and thick.
And besides that, they're good.
They're good. And so we can, and if that doesn't work, we can go to Walmart just over in Princeton and get a few days worth of food and bring it back and then go out. But there's also, in between here and Princeton, there are little shops and little stores that have fresh produce and things. So there's no shortage of anything like that. And so we are cooking fresh, and we are eating less snacks. And now, while a pan of brownies or 2 has been known to be baked in the campers, for the most part, yeah, he hates that. But for the most part,
brownies are the perfect dessert.
Perfect. But for the most part, we are eating either lean meats, which is beef or chicken, and we are eating vegetables.
A lot.
And we
love cooking in cast iron,
Oh,
both
my
enameled
goodness.
and seasoned cast iron, so we do things
Chili.
over fire. We do, you know, things we do inside and everything. We haven't got it out yet, but we're going to on this trip. There's a kind of a little stove that is came with the camper that we can mount on the side over there, and we're going to
and a
get it
table.
and test it out. And cook on the outside.
We
too.
took out the oven, right?
Yeah, the oven.
Because our oven.
Because we have an oven that works in here. The one in the fifth wheel was
missing the
thermocouplers was wrong. Anyway, it wasn't working, so we ended up using that electric one while we were in there. But this one we have the gas oven. It works great. And she just got an extra shelf for it, so you can do two
I've
things
got
at a
a
time.
two rack oven in here. The cool thing about Rockwoods, they always put the 22-inch ovens and stoves in their units, and most of them have 17-inch, and they will fit a pizza or maybe a flat casserole, like in a regular little casserole dish.
And if you use special bread for your toast, make sure it's not too tall.
Yeah, pretty much. but our stove in here is really nice, and we made a delicious dinner a few weeks ago at Coakley. We had Daryl and Tony over, and Daryl was Jeff's oldest brother and his wife, and while the boys took care of the steaks out on the camp fire
in cast iron skillets.
In the cast iron skillets, Tony and I did the vegetables inside and in the oven, because they were roasted vegetables, of which Mr. Darrell was very pleased. He loves roasted vegetables. But we did roasted vegetables and then asparagus. The oven did beautifully.
Tony did the asparagus in the oven, right?
Yeah. And we would have been outside doing most of that in the cast iron outside and on the outside oven or outside stove, but it was like sweltering, sun beating down. The negative about Coakley, it's a beautiful campground.
That's at North Bend State Park.
At North Bend State Park, but the negative about it is in an open field. There are trees, but little trees that you would maybe have in your yard. Nothing that is shadow that gives like shade and stuff. So it's kind of sad. And it was so hot that day. The following week, it was somewhat overcast, but not horribly. And it was nice and cool, probably like 65 to 70 degree weather, non-humid. It would have been perfect, but their plans did not afford them to coming the following week. They were only available that one day, so that's okay. But we're going to go back. We will definitely go back. We've looked at a few different sites at Coakley while we were there, and there are a couple that make more sense in terms of offering shade, or as the sun goes over, we get shade quicker in the day. Where we were like blasted with sun practically until about 5 or 6 in the evening, from about 8 in the morning to 5 or 6.
And it was coming right full face into the camper, through the windows and stuff. So.
And the awning really did not help, because
it was coming under the awning.
It was coming under the awning, yeah. And the wind was horrible. Again, you're on a peninsula, an open peninsula, so the wind was horrible, and we really couldn't even have our awning out. Had we been on a site that had us turned around, we could have kept our awning out. But
yeah. Well,
now that I've jabbered all day, I didn't mean to.
No, that's entirely fine. We'll just put a video on here about our camping history or something.
Yeah.
Well, I
but
think
it worked out.
It did, and here we are, and we're going to be moving.
And the next time you hear from us, we will be on Site 16.
16. So thank you for this edition of Coffee. Wait a minute. This edition of Coffee at Pipestem.
Yay!
Happy campings.
Happy camping, everybody.